And Noel to the 90s.
Oh yeah, let's hope we all get there.
I told you, he's a big fan now. Happy birthday.
Primarily because it's a unique place. I have an exhibit there. And number 3, it's my home. And it's one of the best sports museums in the United States, outside of the pros. I ran track. For Gladstone Junior High School, for Alderdice High School, for Xavier University, then I transferred, went to Pitt, University of Pittsburgh. That's how I really got my start. Because I made the 1948 Olympic team. I'm just about ready to pull up there now again. Okay, let me see. Okay.
How are you?
Hey, Herb, it's Christine. Wait, we're gonna be
here. Podium over there. You athletes will sit there, all 11 of you. The projectionist will be in back of you, the rear view screen. The band will be right over there.
the band.
Yeah. There, with their name. Yeah.
And he helped me build my appreciation for these athletes that paved the way for the whole Olympic movement in the world. We're riding on your coattails.
That's what he does.
The Michael Phelps. It's because of you. You guys set the standard for why the Olympic movement is so great.
You won't be able to run your velvet smooth with peace in hand. If they make you lose,
I put all my ancestry in there. I will put my Olympic medal in. Roger Kingdom, he's the other one. Yeah. My kids come in here and laugh. They say, "Woo, you sure look funny." I'll be standing here. Yeah, Roger put all in, and this is me. Me again.
That's your outfit.
Now all that there I gave, you know, the track.
My name is Robert Hill, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 90th birthday Champagne Gala celebration of Herb Douglas. Happy birthday, Herb. And now I direct your attention to Herb's Toasters and Roasters, or Herb's 11. Jim Robinson.
Here's to the winner.
Harrison Dillard. Charles Jenkins. And his son, Charles Jenkins Jr. Arnie Soul,
to be.
Cynthia Stinger,
Yes to the battle,
Ira Davis,
whatever it's for.
Edwin Moses,
To
Tony
ask
Dorsett,
the best of yourself,
Roger Kingdom,
and to give much more.
Franco Harris,
Here's
and
to
of course,
the hero,
the man of the hour, Herb Douglas Jr.
those who move mountains. Here's to the miracle still to be. Oh, here's to our brothers. Here's to the sisters.
Those of you who can stand, to stand, as world-renowned recording artist Whitney Phipps leads us in singing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you. I invite the Reverend David Thornton, pastor of Pittsburgh's Grace Memorial Presbyterian Church, to deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. God of all life, God of all love, truly we welcome your awesome and all-providing presence with us and in us this night. Gracious God, you who are our God of all longitude and latitude, you, O God, are the very one in whom we live, move, and have our being. You, O God, are the one who graciously allows for all of the activities of our limbs. We worship you, we praise you this night. We especially thank you for our dear brother, Herbert P. Douglas Jr., as he is now, Lord, an official nonagenarian at 90 years of age. We thank you, Lord, for the ability that you gave him to leap long ago in London, where he won the bronze medal for the long jump. And Lord, we thank you this night for all who are gathered here to witness your grace upon him in terms of longevity of life. We thank you, Lord, for your presence. For, Lord, again, in you we live, we move, and have our being. We welcome your presence in this place tonight. We welcome an opportunity to fellowship in the midst of your awesome, loving, and all-providing presence. We ask your blessings this night upon the food and drink that have been prepared for the nourishment of our bodies, and we'll be so careful to give you all praise, honor, and glory. In your holy name, and all of God's people together say, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Thornton. Okay, now that we're all settled down and invoked, I'd like you to know that Herb's specially chosen Master of Ceremonies was a 3-time letter winner in football and a 2-time letterman in track and field at the University of Pittsburgh. A member of Pitt's Black Action Society and Omega Psi Phi fraternity, he graduated from Pitt with a bachelor's degree in history in 1971 and went on to play as a running back for the Oakland Raiders before a lingering knee injury forced his NFL retirement. Our MC then began his near 40-year career in business, at first at Koppers Company in 1973, before joining Xerox 5 years later. He rose to the position of Senior Vice President of Global Accounts at Xerox, where he managed the top 500 accounts worldwide. And he became President and CEO of Crystal Software, a member of Xerox's Technology Enterprises, before founding the consulting firm IAM Solutions. A native of Buffalo, our MC and his wife Sheila, who also earned her bachelor's degree at Pitt, have 2 sons and reside in Clinton, Virginia. Life members of the Pitt Alumni Association, the couple generously supports a number of Pitt funds, including the B.B. Moore Campbell Scholarship Fund and the Jack L. Daniel Endowed Book Fund. In 2004, Pitt honored our MC as a Pitt Varsity Leonard Club awardee, an awardee of distinction during the club's 44th annual awards dinner. Last May, our Toastmaster, along with Pitt trustee Bryant Salter, served as the MC at Pitt's African American Alumni Council and Varsity Department celebration of Pitt's Black Athletes, better known as Athletes at Pitt at the Forefront of a Century of Change, which was organized by Herb Douglas. Tonight's Toastmaster is a Douglas loyalist and a great Black Pitt Panther. Join me then in welcoming back to Pittsburgh and to a Pittsburgh podium our Master of Ceremonies, David Earl Garnett. Dave.
Thank you. And while that thunderous ovation dies down, I want to also welcome you all here. I just got a text from Chancellor Nordenberg telling me us to pick up the pace, so I'll try to do that, Chancellor. We have traveled from all over the country to come here to celebrate a very special person in Dr. Herbert Paul Douglas. We came here because of so much love he's shown us over the years. But before we start this wonderful evening, I'd like you to all stand with me and observe a moment of silence for those who lost their lives or were injured on the campus this week. Thank you. You may be seated. My job tonight is to keep things moving, and you will see that there's an outstanding slate of friends bringing remarks and reflections. We know you all love her. Couple of basic rules. Finish your remarks while we're young enough to enjoy them. Number two, we want to make sure you save something in your remarks to tell Herb offline, to give him that special moment. If you observe that, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. Now, Minerva, you may be surprised when you hear some of these wonderful things that will be said about Herb, but just go with the flow. I would also be remiss if I didn't recognize a giant of the civil rights movement and someone who is also an Olympic medal winner, who told us late that he was going to be here, and he's here in the person of Mr. John Carlos. John, because a lot of people sat down and because you stood up, we're all able to be here tonight and enjoy our freedom. Now, an evening like this could not be possible unless we had sponsors. And what I'd like to do now is introduce the two sponsors, and after I introduce them, I'm going to ask them both to come up and share their reflections about Herbert. Joe Cosgrove is president and CEO of Pentec, a specialty pharmacy and home care company that provides nutritional support to dialysis patients and also provides specialized pain and spastic management services to patients with implants. Joe has over 20 years of diversified healthcare industry experience at the executive management level and currently serves on the board of directors of the following companies and organizations: Pentec Health Incorporated, Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce, National Home Infusion Association. Joe also devotes much of his time and talents to serving in the capacity of founder and president of the Harrison Hawks Youth Foundation football and cheerleading organization. Joe proudly attended the University of Pittsburgh, where he was a 2-year letter winner for the Panthers football team. Joe asked me not to mention the fumble against Penn State. I'm sorry, that was an editorial. I'm sorry, Joe. After spending 1 year in the National Football League, he completed his master's program in executive leadership development from the Harvard School of Business. Joe and his wife, Missy, live in southern New Jersey, where they are active in numerous civic and philanthropic endeavors. Please join me as we just recognize and welcome in a moment Mark, Tyler, and Alyssa's dad to the podium, Joe Cosgrove. Randy Letang. Randy is co-founder and senior managing director of Wellbridge Capital. He has more than 14 years of corporate management, financing, and development experience with a record of enhancing shareholder value and delivering rapid top and bottom line growth across a broad range of industries, including financial services, real estate, healthcare, aerospace, defense, and renewable energy. In the area of media and entertainment, he and his partner built one of the largest diversified platforms in the country, growing the company from concept to $54 million in 24 months with a roster of global blue chip advertisers and media agencies. Randy began his professional career as an analyst at Goldman Sachs and Company. There he supported senior and junior level professionals and the management of over $3 billion in assets across various industry, groups of institutions, as well as wealthy families and individuals. Randy and his teams were instrumental in sourcing, developing over $5 billion in initial public offering, private equity funds, and bond sales. Randy graduated magna cum laude from Temple University with a BS degree in finance and was the recipient of the Philadelphia Financial Executives Institute Medallion Award. Please join me as I welcome both of them to the stage.
Good evening. Welcome and thank you for this incredible opportunity this evening to say a few words as we celebrate our dear friend, Herb Douglas. As I scan around the room tonight, I can't help but notice the wide variety of family and friends that have joined from all over. I believe in life, there are no coincidences. I also believe that the measure of a man's life is based on how many people that they have positively influenced directly or indirectly throughout the course of their life. For instance, it was not a mistake that the great Franco Harris was where he was on the field that day against the Oakland Raiders when he made that spectacular catch, spinning off a cascade of successful seasons for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was also not a mistake that Mark Nordenberg was elected the Chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh back in 1996, 16 years ago. Mark will go down in history as being credited as the visionary and the architect who drastically improved this great university's academic and athletic standing to levels never before seen. It's no mistake that a young man out of Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, from Hopewell High School, the son of Wes and Myrtle Dorsett, would attend Pitt and would win the Heisman Trophy and the national championship in the same year. You all know who I'm talking about, and that's the one and the only TD, Tony Dorsett. And it's no mistake tonight that we're all here to celebrate a man with whom we all have a common bond. And that man is the one and the only Dr. Herbert Paul Douglas, Jr. I've had the honor and the privilege of counting Herb as one of my closest friends and trusted advisors for many years. And as I reflect on the conversations that we've had at Chops, his favorite restaurant out in Bala Cynwyd, Pennsylvania, there are really three themes that have resonated with me over the years. The first is never forget where you came from. We become who we are because of those who came before us. Herb has never forgotten where he's come from. It's no mistake that we're celebrating in his hometown of Pittsburgh. We all know, and like all of us, Herb absolutely loves Pittsburgh. He was born here on March 9th, 1922. Warren G. Harding was the President of the United States that year. That was also the year that the Eskimo pie was introduced. Another little fun fact. It was also the year that the Lincoln Memorial was dedicated in Washington, D.C. Herb graduated from Alderdice High School, lived in Hazelwood, still owns his childhood home, and he attended Xavier University after being recruited by the track coach, the legendary Ralph Metcalfe, who at the time was the second fastest human being on the planet. The first was the great Jesse Owens, Herb's friend, lifelong friend, and mentor. It was at Xavier where Herb really excelled. He learned about academics, he learned about religion, he also learned how to run and how to jump really, really well. In fact, Herb was part of the 440-yard relay team that made Xavier this country's first historically black college or university to win a relay race at the Penn Relays. After 2 wonderful years at Xavier, Herb, forever the loyal and devoted son, returned home to Pittsburgh to help run the family business when his dad took ill. Staying true to his dream, he accepted a scholarship to the University of Pittsburgh, where he was a member of the football and the track teams. In addition to receiving a world-class education at Pitt, Herb won 3 collegiate titles in the long jump, and he also scored a touchdown against Notre Dame that year. Why is that remarkable? He's the only person in the nation that scored a touchdown against Notre Dame that year. That's incredible. That's incredible. And of course, we all know the 1948 Summer Olympics in London, where Herb won the bronze medal in the long jump. He jumped long, he jumped far, and folks, I don't think his feet have ever touched the ground since. The second thing that I learned from Herb is to always remain humble. Despite all of his numerous lifetime achievements and awards, Herb always deflects the spotlight. And for those of us that know and love him, we know that to be true. He loves staying behind the scenes. Well, tonight, my dear friend, there's nowhere to hide. There's no one to deflect to. We're all here for you. So here it comes. The third thing that I've learned from Herb is that if you're blessed with good fortune and success in this life, pay it forward. Because invariably there are always others who are in need that are not as fortunate as you are. Be a difference maker and have a giving heart. These words and acts of wisdom have had an impact on me and how I conduct my life. And they remind me of the words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The quality, not just the longevity of one's life, is what's most important. Could any of us argue the quality of the life of Dr. Herbert Douglass? Herb is a giver. He gives more of his time and talents to others than anyone that I know. At 90, he's more active and energetic than most 30-year-olds. And yet, he always says he's over the hill. Well, Herb, if that is true, just remember that once you're over the hill, that's when you really begin to pick up speed. So I'm going to make sure that the next time we go to Chops, I've got my sneakers on, because I know I'll need them just to keep up. We all love you, and we're blessed to be a part of your special day. Happy birthday, Herb.
I wish I could say that I spent the last 2 months preparing a long speech, but I did not. Instead, I'm going to keep it to the science of Herb and I's relationship, which is as simple as possible. 14 years ago, when I was at Goldman Sachs making the most important career decision of my life, which is, do I stay and run the halls of this great firm and fight to be a partner, which I was settled for nothing less and everyone there knew it? Or do I do a little soul searching and be honest with myself and say, you know, I love our clients and all their stories and what they've accomplished a lot more than I love these models, and a lot more than I love this partner, the potential of becoming a partner at this firm. It was ironic that during that time I was introduced to and had lunch with Herb and shared my story as to how I was going to dominate the financial services industry and rule the world. And he listened patiently, and he said, "That sounds fantastic, young man, but do me a favor." He said, "Just remember 4 things and apply 4 things as best as you can." And those 4 things were to analyze, strategize, initiate, and follow through. I'll tell you something, that for 14 years I never understood what that meant, other than what I and my partner, who's at the table downstream here, did on a daily basis, which was to fight every possible hurdle and stereotype you can possibly think of to demonstrate that the only glass ceiling is the glass ceiling that you create for yourself. It wasn't until 2-3 years ago when Herb shared with me where analyze, strategize, initiate, and follow through came from, that I actually realized that they came from his father, who for, I'm going to get this wrong, 40 some odd years used those as his guiding principles to be a successful businessman, blind. And what I think Herb realized after listening to my dissertation on success and business planning going forward was that just as his father used those guiding principles in a sightless world to become successful, that I too would be facing some insurmountable hurdles, you know, some difficult paths that the business plan would not execute the way we initially envisioned it. And those guiding principles have been the foundation of everything that I've done in my life. So, again, I'm going to keep it simple. So what I'll say to Herb is thank you for your friendship, thank you for your mentorship, and most importantly, to young guys like myself, thank you for your stewardship. And the only gift that I can give you is to promise you that to take that stewardship and those 4 guiding principles and pass them on. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy and Joe, for kicking us off this evening. To bring birthday greetings to Herb, our first speaker represents an iconic name in American business. Timothy Proctor Shefflin is the heir to an entrepreneurial legacy whose impact is nothing short of extraordinary. He represents the 8th generation of a family-run business established in the United States in 1794. The New York-based company, now known as Moet Hennessy USA, ranks as the 4th oldest ongoing business concern in the nation. Initially, the company achieved prominence as a manufacturer of pharmaceutical products. The company's legacy as an agent for social change dates back more than a century. In 1896, William J. Shefflin, great-grandfather of your next speaker, joined hands with Booker T. Washington to help found the Tuskegee Institute. Elder Shefflin was instrumental in the growth of the institution and served as board chairman for 22 years. He remained a constant presence on the board, serving with unwavering dedication until his death in 1954. Herb began his successful 30-year career with Shefflin & Company in 1963. During his tenure, he became one of the most respected executives in the industry. In 1968, Shefflin elevated Herb to the position of Vice President of Urban Market Development. In so doing, he became the 3rd African-American Vice President of a national company. His visionary leadership laid the foundation for successful marketing strategies that placed the African-American market at the forefront of competitive market sectors in the industry. As a result, the African-American market now represents the share of Moet Hennessy's product lines. I am honored this evening to present our next speaker. His family would be proud of the legacy, Timothy Proctor Shefflin.
Thank you, David. Happy birthday, Herb. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am certainly highly honored to be here this evening, although I'm barely qualified because I've known Herb and Mrs. Douglas, I think, for only 45 years. So please forgive me. I will never forget the first time my dad told me about Herb at home, and later introducing me to Herb with great pride at a reception. And he called Herb a great man, a true gentleman and friend, as well as a top-notch businessman who could sell ice to the Eskimos, and an incredible athlete. So for those of you that know my father, he told things the way they were. So when I finally had the opportunity to meet the great Dr. Douglas at a reception, I was in awe of Dad's description. Who could this great man be? Well, I soon found out, and of course, when Dad introduced me to Herb, Herb quietly took the focus off of Herb and turned around and introduced me to the great Jesse Owens. Now, understand, I'm a teenager, young teenager, and so I'm meeting the great Herb Douglas and I'm meeting the great Jesse Owens, and so I was just in awe. Dad used to tell me that Herb took his athletic prowess to the business field, setting his sights high and then exceeding them, often against tough odds. Dad would talk about how Herb was growing the Hennessy and Moet brands and in a very competitive industry. Of course, Herb wouldn't want it any other way. As we all know, Herb likes to compete. So he picked a tough industry. Dad also very much enjoyed having Herb join him on occasion at the great Tuskegee Institute, where Dad served on the board, much the way my great-grandfather, William J. Shefflin, joined hands, as you heard, with Booker T. Washington in 1896, and for many years after that. And so, as Herb would say, this is a story of support before it was commercial. Prior to my becoming a banker out of college, and as I traveled to France and Germany for S&Co and Moet Hennessy, all the company executives in those countries knew or knew of the great Herb Douglas. Author Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great, says the most important decisions are not what decisions, but rather who decisions. My dad made a super who decision in recruiting Herb to Shefflin & Company in 1963, and in 5 short years promoted him to vice president. And in those days, vice president was a very, very senior corporate title. Still is today, but less so. But vice president was like vice chairman. I mean, it was huge. So, well done, Herb. So here before us is a living legend. During the time that I've had the pleasure of knowing Herb, he has impressed me as a shining star, a true inspiration to all, and a man who leads by example. I've never heard Herb complain about anything or anybody. He is always working to improve things, build things, and does so with unrelenting energy and phenomenal results in order to make the world a better place. From helping kids get a summer job to creating a prestigious award under the umbrella of global peace, that is Herb. Herb walks the talk of quality, integrity, and service, and all with dignity and grace. Of course, Herb should also be recognized for invincible athletic ability. And I'm not just talking about his stellar past with Xavier and the great Pitt and as the Olympiad. Why, only 5 years ago, Herb was a young 85. And we had had lunch together in New York City, which we often enjoyed doing together. And I shook his hand, and we hugged, and we said, farewell for now. And out of my peripheral vision, I see Herb in a sprint at age 85, going diagonally across Park Avenue, where he's identified an available taxi cab. And, you know, he got it. He got that taxi. And the taxi was literally 50 yards away, if not more. And so, you know, you have to, they say you have to see it to believe it. And I saw it, and you know it was Herb, so you know it's the truth. I mean, it's unbelievable. So my advice is tonight, yes, you know, God bless Herb, he's 90 years old, but don't roast him too badly tonight, because he's going on 25. So Herb, your integrity, character, sense of responsibility have made you respected and beloved by all who know you. I am so grateful to know you and to call you my friend. May your years that are to be give back in full measure the joy you have given to so many. Happy birthday, Herb. God bless you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. This is a very special evening. I just realized I met 2 individuals upstairs that were classmates or at Pitt at the same time you were here, Herb. One is Marilyn Ware Parker. Marilyn, where are you? Okay. And the other one is Martha. Okay. Thank you. Sitting with her back there should be Martha Wilkins, whose brother, Bill Johnson, was a Tuskegee Airman. So I think that would be a very special picture for you to take a picture with them. Now, it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce the man who has been a guiding force of our great university for nearly 2 decades. Somebody who every day makes that 285 I got from Pitt more valuable. He serves with distinction as the 17th Chancellor, and his dynamic and visionary leadership is credited with carrying Pitt to the pinnacle of prominence as one of the world's leading research and academic institutions. The Chancellor's progressive leadership has cultivated an academic atmosphere that has placed Pitt at the forefront of producing high-achieving students whose academic credentials have far exceeded others in their industry. His leadership has been credited with restoring Pitt athletics to national prominence. In 1999, the Chancellor, along with Pitt alum Herb Douglas, journeyed to Johannesburg, South Africa, to present Jesse Owens Global Peace Award to the President Nelson Mandela.
Chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh, Mark Nordenberg.
Your Excellency, your example has been an inspiration to people around the world. It is humbling to be here with you, and it is an honor for all of us, through the presentation of the Jesse Owens Global Award, to publicly commemorate your long walk, and to thank you for all that you have done to elevate and improve the lives of countless others here in your home country and in more distant locations at every step along the way. We are deeply indebted.
He's a true educator, leader, humanitarian of the first magnitude, and a wonderful husband and father. He is also joined tonight by Steve Peterson and his lovely wife, Tammy, who is at the table with him. Please join me now to present Pitt's great achievements, Nikki's husband, the Honorable Mark Nordenberg.
When I asked Herb how he would like me to shape my remarks for tonight, he offered a quick response. This is not just a big birthday year for me, he said. It's a big birthday year for my university, so I want you to say something about the history of Pitt. It is true that Herb's University celebrated its 225th birthday just about 2 weeks ago. Herb wanted me to work that in, just in case there is no one in the room older than him, so that you would know there are at least some institutions in town that have been around longer than Herb has been. And in fact, the University of Pittsburgh was founded February 28, 1787, several months before the framers of the Constitution began their important work in that city in the other corner of Pennsylvania. Today, it's hard to imagine that log cabin academy built at what then was the edge of the American wilderness has grown into our 5-campus, world-class 21st century university. The Pitt family is proud to claim many accomplished members. Just since the dawn of the new century, Pitt alumni have received the Nobel Peace Prize, the Nobel Prize in Medicine, the National Medal of Science, the Fritz Medal in Engineering, the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction, and the National Book Award. And tonight we gather to honor a man who has brought similarly high distinction to his university. Abraham Lincoln said that in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Fortunately for us and for him, and despite his youthful good looks, Herb Douglas is doing pretty well in the longevity department. But as President Lincoln suggested, it is the richness of the life that Herb has built over the course of his 9 decades that we celebrate tonight. The shaping of that life began with the influence of his parents. As most of you know, when Herb was just 5, his father literally was struck blind while driving to the hospital for the birth of his younger sister. His dad never recovered his sight, but that did not stop him, with the help of Herb's mother, from building a full life and providing well for his family. In dealing with his disability, Herb's father was a trailblazer. He was among the first Americans of any race to use a seeing eye dog, and was the first African American in Pittsburgh to do so. It's natural to wonder about the influence of that pioneering example on Herb, who went on to forge a life characterized by many firsts of his own. He and Jimmy Joe Robinson were the first African Americans to play football at Pitt. And though the Reverend Robinson hates to have anyone mention that touchdown against Notre Dame, Herb became the first and only Olympian ever to score a touchdown against the Fighting Irish. When he won bronze in the long jump in London in 1948, Herb became the first Pittsburgh native to win an Olympic medal. His record-setting track and field career also included other firsts, as Joe has mentioned: 3 national AAU championships and 3 national collegiate championships. Moving into the business world and the opportunities presented to him at Schieffelin, he became one of the first African Americans to rise to the level of vice president in a Fortune 500 company. And then, through the power of his own example, he enlightened others about the value of diversity and played a key role in laying the foundation for other members of minority groups to hold even higher ranking corporate positions. The athlete we honor tonight was a bronze medal winning long jumper, which is quite an achievement. But the person we honor tonight is a gold medal human being in terms of his class, his character, and his contributions, and that, as we all know, is far more important. Today also brought an important first for the Nordenberg family. My first son's first son, my first grandson, is 1 year old today. The irony is that he's in Philadelphia, so if Herb had just stayed put and invited us all over to Philly for the party, I'd have been able to cover both bases. But of course, Herb's heart is here in Pittsburgh. And you all also know how smoothly Herb operates. He sent me the nicest letter saying, "I know that this is Julian's first birthday and you can't possibly come to my dinner." But then he enclosed a program flow that had me down as a speaker. Now, I've got a lot of great friends in this world, but I don't know whose birthday party other than Herb's would have led me to miss my grandson's first birthday. And my son knows and loves most of my friends, but I don't know how accommodating he would have been to anyone else. But he said, "You know, Dad, if Mr. Douglas can celebrate his 90th birthday 1 day late, I guess Julian can celebrate his first birthday 1 year late. Just make sure you're in Philadelphia Sunday morning." But I want to make clear that really isn't a Nordenberg family story. That really is a story about Herb and the way that people feel about Herb and how all of us, Herb, even us Scandinavians, love you. I know that I speak for everyone else in this room when I say that there just isn't anyone else like Herb Douglas. And I doubt that many of us will ever be in a room filled with the levels of respect and affection that are in this room tonight. We all are deeply grateful for the many ways in which your 90-year presence on the face of this earth has made the world a better place. But I think we're all even more grateful for the richness that you have brought to our individual lives. Thank you, and happy birthday, my friend.
The next gentleman has a place in all University of Pittsburgh African-American alumni football's hearts, because it was on his shoulders all of us excelled. Jimmy Joe Robinson was the first African-American, along with Herb and Alan Carter, to play varsity football at the University of Pittsburgh. He was the starting halfback who proved that African-Americans could make a significant contribution to Pitt's football program. Jimmy Joe holds one record that neither Tony nor any other Pitt football player will ever break. Jimmy returned a punt 90 yards for a touchdown, establishing a record that after 67 years still stands. Fantastic to me. Now, Jimmy, in the spirit of full disclosure, each year since you broke that record, during orientation they show that run to all the players and tell us, if we ever pull a stunt like that, we'll be benched for the rest of our career. Your record is safe. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Jimmy Joe.
Herb Douglas, winning the bronze medal in the long jump at the 1948 London Olympic Games, partnered with Jimmy Joe Robinson, Pitt's first African-American recruit, and Alan Carter to earn their place in history.
In 1945, there were only 39 black football players in Division 1A. I'm not sure about Division 2, but there just weren't that many blacks. And, you know, the 39, Irving and I guess were two of those 39.
Robinson's memorable 90-yard punt return for a touchdown against Penn State is a record that has stood the test of time.
Herb, I can't talk about the Notre Dame touchdown. That's old stuff. But you did talk about it forever and ever. But I'm not going to say anything about it, you know. I got off of the train from Carnesville, Pianelli Railroad, 17 years old, and they were practicing out at that private school out there, Herb, and and then you came, you were the first. I'd never been anywhere out of Carnesville, Pennsylvania. And I guess you were the first. Shaughnessy was there, and still I try to get them one of those red jerseys that we played with Shaughnessy at Pitt in those days. The Waltzes are all gone. And we did play with those red and white uniforms. Clark Shaughnessy from Stanford had them. But Herb, you know, you took me to your house, and I had a chance to meet your mother and your father and your sister, your sis, and Granny. So I had a chance to see your where you came from. And as a kid just out of Carnesville, who had never been anywhere, I was telling Marilyn Ware, I stayed across from the YMCA in Dr. Taylor, the dentist's home, and paid $10 a week to stay there then, the first year. That's where I stayed. Through no fault of Pitt, it's just the way the circumstances were in those days. But you showed up, and I was 17, and you came from Xavier, and you were 22. I said, man, that's our old man coming out here to play football. He should be somewhere else. Now you're 90 and I'm 84. Now you're calling me an old man. I done caught up with you. It's kind of relative, isn't it, that we're coming to this. But I thought, we talk on the telephone a lot, and they're giving you all the accolades, and I don't mean to put you down, but you do talk a lot of trash. You talk a lot of stuff, and you talk it, and you talk it, and you talk it, and you talk it. And so I understand, but of all the accolades you got, you deserve it. But here again, you told me there are only going to be 90 people here. You said, well, man, there's only going to be about 90 people here. So I come here, and you got about 90 tables. So I should have known then that it was going to be a story when I got here. So I thought I was going to come down like it was the last time you were, what were you, 85? 85 years old at the Rivers Club? You only had a few people there, but now you got all these people here giving you a whole lot of stuff. But you deserve it, and you've done a lot of things. You've done a lot of things. And I don't want to make low of it, and I just don't want to talk a long time, because if you give a preacher a chance, he talks long. And there's a long story. My wife's going, there's a long story to Herbie, and there's a short story. I'm giving you the short story. And all I'm going to do is say to you, it's been nice knowing you. You've done a lot of things in your life, and happy birthday.
Thank you, Jimmy Joe. The next speaker, Harrison Dillard, attended Cleveland East High Technical, the same high school that Jesse Owens attended. When Cleveland honored the great Jesse Owens with a parade upon his return from the 1936 Olympics, the 13-year-old Dillard was one of the spectators. He later met Owens, who presented him with his first pair of running shoes. Dillard became the only athlete to ever win Olympic golds in sprint and a hurdle event. He was unquestionably the best hurdler of his time, winning 82 consecutive races from May 31st, 1947 to June 26, 1948. In the Olympic final, Dillard and Barney Ewell finished in a virtual dead heat, and the photo showed that Dillard had not only won, he had tied a world record.
So I remember running back home and bursting into the kitchen and saying, Mama, I just saw Jesse Owens, and I'm going to be just like him.
London, 1948. The opening day ceremonies of the first Olympics after a 12-year hiatus due to World War II. Mel Patton is closest to the camera in lane 1. Barney Ewell is beside him in lane 2. Lloyd LeBeach of Panama is in lane 3. At the top, on the outside, Harrison Dillard. Dillard on the extreme left is the fastest off the mark. Ewell, second from the right, is just a few feet behind. At 50 meters, Dillard is 2 yards in front. Ewell is second. At the finish, it is Harrison Dillard on the left first, Barney Ewell second, Lloyd LeBeach third.
When I mounted that victory stand, I remember just feeling so very proud that I, a young black man from Cleveland, was able to stand there and cause the anthem to be played and the flag to be raised because of an effort on my part. It was just a fantastic feeling.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the great Harrison Dillard.
Spell my name wrong. Only one I. Anyway, as far as Herb Douglas is concerned, you know, one of the measures of a man is not, you know, you don't say what did he gain. I think you ask what did he give. And we've heard speaker after speaker tell you what Herb has given over the years. I think I first met Herb at a track meet. I think it was the Indoor Nationals, 1942, was it maybe, Herb? Madison Square Garden. So I've known him a few years. And he's just a fabulous human being. We've become great friends over all these years. And I once heard somebody say, when you get up to make a speech, be succinct, be brief, be seated. So I'm going to be seated. Happy birthday, Herb. The only thing I would add, Herb, if you don't tell anything, I won't tell anything.
Thank you, Harrison. Our next speaker, Arnie Soel, was the greatest track and field competitor born in Pittsburgh. He followed the great John Woodruff in the same events, 880 yards and 800 meters, and established world records indoors in the 880-yard dash. He attended the University of Pittsburgh, and when he graduated, he held every record in the middle distances, which lasted over a decade.
One of Pitt's greatest track and field athletes was a middle distance runner named Arnie Soel, an AAU champion, an NCAA champion, an IC4A champion, and holder of the world record for 1,000 yards. Soel's greatest rival was Tom Courtney of Fordham. More times than not, Soel beat Courtney.
Here he just fails to nip Grant Scruggs of Michigan in the mile relay in 1955 at Ohio State. He went on to break Johnny Woodruff's school record in the 880 and also Woodruff's NCAA and AAU records. In the 56 Olympics, he placed 4th in the 800 meters, but now watch him beat two-time Olympic champ Mal Whitfield.
I asked when I entered the hall this evening whether or not I was going to have to say anything, and I was told very definitely I would not have to say anything. So as a result of that, I have about a 5-page dissertation that I would like to share with you. Wait a minute. Before I do that, as I get younger, I have to use more age. Like all of us here this evening, I want to wish Herb a happy 90th birthday and many happy returns. As I reflect on this occasion, know not as much as the occasion, but the person we honor here tonight. I do so with a smile on my face, for I have been truly blessed to be counted as a friend of someone who has transcended life's adversities and continues to be a positive influence and inspiration to so many. Not only among athletes, but people in institutions and all levels of society. The first thing that comes to my mind is a Jesse Owens annual award banquet where people of all walks of life and major corporations responded generously to his request for participation and support. I mentioned this event and a few of his awardees. However, Herb has never directed the spotlight on himself, but has always turned the spotlight on the accomplishments of others. I will not attempt to highlight Herb's many athletic achievements because in my mind they pale in the comparisons to his achievements as a human being. But that we all could come to our 90th birthday and be remembered as a great athlete, wise counselor, and wonderful human being. As Khalil Gibran says in his poem, The Prophet, you give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. Herb has always given of himself with joy, and that joy is his reward. Herb, again, happy birthday, and continue to be you.
Thank you, Ernie. I'd like to now introduce two very distinct gentlemen, Dr. Charles Jenkins and his son, who were both Olympians. Dr. Charles Jenkins attended high school in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and became the best track and field athlete in the 440-yard dash. He established a state record that lasted for over a decade. This put him in position to become the first African American to receive an athletic scholarship to Villanova. In 1956, he won an Olympic gold medal in the 400 meters and also ran the 4x400 meters relay when he won his second gold medal. He and his son Charles are the only father and son to win Olympic gold medals in the same event. Charles Jr. won a gold medal as a member of the 4x400 meters relay team at the Barcelona Olympic Games.
Charles Jenkins, who astounded the world by winning 2 gold medals in the 1956 Melbourne Olympic Games. He also emerged as Villanova's greatest track and field athlete, winning national AAU titles and national collegiate championships. He was their most outstanding anchorman on their relay teams at the Penn Relays, where his name is inscribed in their Wall of Fame. On November 29, 1956, he won the 400 meters, beating the world record holder. And on December 1, 1956, he won his second medal as a member of the 4x400 relay team. He was the only African American to win a running event.
To Charles Jenkins Sr. and Chip Jenkins Jr., Charles Sr. was medalist in 1956 at the Olympic Games in Melbourne, Australia, in both the 400 meters and 4x4 meter relay. Charles Jr., 1992 Olympic gold medalist in the 4x4, the only father and son to win the same track and field event at the Olympic Games.
Thank you. I would like to thank Mr. Douglas for his support over the years, especially his support with my track endeavors. One of the things that Mr. Douglas never hesitated to remind my father of is that I actually ran faster than my father. And I'm sure, I'm gonna duck. I'm sure my father didn't appreciate that, but no, in all seriousness, my father actually coached me. And he said he had the best coach, I had the best coach in the world. So that was the reason I ran faster than he did. At any rate, one of the things that I have to thank Mr. Douglas about is that he has always supported me in my business endeavors. He's always been very encouraging with advice, and it has been a mentor of sorts for everything I've done. And I've really appreciated that. and he's never hesitated to remind my father when Pitt beats Villanova in a basketball game. In fact, one of the things that he does is there'll be a phone call, it'll be from Mr. Douglas, and Pitt will have beaten Villanova. I'll pick up the phone, I sound just like my father, and he'll start right in. I was told to be short, but at any rate, I want to say, Mr. Douglas, happy 90th birthday. May you have many more. I appreciate the support you've given me, my father, and the rest of my family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chip. Good evening. Herb Douglas's 90th birthday. Herb, I want you to know, first of all, that we really look forward to coming here, not only one day, but for about a couple of weeks. We look forward to seeing you. Herb and I talk to each other probably on the average of 3 times a week. And as you know, Herb has a tremendous amount of energy. And to release some of that energy, he loves to tease his friends. So you have to get him first. Some time ago, before my wife knew Herb, she overheard me teasing him during a telephone conversation. I'm not sure whether it was overheard me or was just listening, but anyway. Charles, she said, if you don't stop teasing Herb, you're going to lose him as a friend. When I told Herb what she said, he couldn't wait to see her. And when he did, he said, you know, Dizzy, if Charles doesn't stop teasing me, he's going to lose me as a friend. And my wife said, I told Charles this, Herb. And of course, you know, Herb loved that. Herb, there's not enough time for me to really get you back because it would take away from what I really want to say on your birthday. So I'll take off my kidding hat and be quite sincere. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are celebrating the birthday of an outstanding person, Herb Douglas Jr. And let me tell you why. We all know, and it's been talked about today, that Herb was an outstanding football player. He's a runner and a long jumper while attending the University of Pittsburgh. That he was a member of the 1948 Olympic team and won a bronze medal representing the United States of America. And I have to say this, and seem not to be modest, but to make an American Olympic team during Herb's time or during anybody's time is one of the most difficult, stressful kinds of experiences you can have until, of course, you make the team. And you look on one side and people are crying, and you look on the other side and people are jubilant about having made the team. But anyway, I'll move on from that. And of course, we know that he graduated from the University of Pittsburgh with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. And what I just said about Herb, that's outstanding, but the best is yet to come. In his professional life, and it's been alluded to and talked about, Herb became a vice president of Shefford and Somerset Liquor Company. Vice president may not sound like much during this day and time, but as an African American, try becoming a vice president in corporate America in the 1940s and 50s, and try working in the South during those days of the Chitlin circuit. That's another great story, but let me move on. The thing that makes Herb an outstanding person, he is loyal to his family, loyal to the University of Pittsburgh, loyal to his friends, and over his lifetime he has demonstrated this. One example, the late Jesse Owens was one of Herb's best friends. When he died, now get this, for 23 years, in memory of his friend, Herb created the Jesse Owens annual dinner held at the Waldorf Astoria, where he awarded the trophy to the most outstanding amateur athlete in the world. And at the same dinner, he instituted the Jesse Owens Peace Prize. This award was given to a former athlete who contributed peace in the world. Now, 2 of these recipients of this award, Nelson Mandela and former Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, received the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, that's some company. And 2 of the recipients of this award were the presidents of their country. South African President Nelson Mandela and George W. Bush Sr. Was the President of the United States of America, of course. The other recipients of this award were Ted Turner of CNN, Antonio Samaranch, former Secretary of International Olympic Committee, and former Mayor of New York, Rudolph Giuliani. By the way, the proceeds of this event went to the Jesse Owens Scholarship Fund. Think about it, 23 years for a friend and a noble cause. People from all over the world attended this dinner, and I will tell you, they should place Herb in the National Track and Field Hall of Fame because the Jesse Owens dinner brought prestige to track and field in this country and abroad. This is not what Charles Jenkins says. This is what President Mandela said, and he led this to the recipients by praising Herb for an outstanding contribution to sports worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, last June, Herb did it again. He brought together in what he called the Century of Change, former African-American student athletes who attended the University of Pittsburgh, brought them back to the University of Pittsburgh for a gala event. Now, here we all are at this wonderful event, all because of Herb Douglas Jr. Life for Herb has been a wonderful journey. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in wishing Herb a happy, happy, happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you.
Good job. Next, I'd like to bring up Cynthia E. Stinger. Was a member of 3 Olympic handball teams in 1992, 1988, and 1984. In her first start, the team finished 4th in the world. Cynthia, since 1987, has been a pillar for the USCO. She is the person to contact at the Olympic Committee when you're looking for an official response. She was a key person who assisted Herb when he founded the Jesse Owens Awards. Cindy dominated women's handball by being on the USA team and Athlete of the Year 4 times.
5 seconds left in the game with the score tied. Cynthia Stinger threw the USA in front, 21-20. The people assembled in Titan Gymnasium last night had witnessed the very first team handball victory for America.
Watching that video brings back a lot of terrific memories. I'm so humbled to be here, and I am the luckiest gal in the room. Look at the table I get to sit with. Come on. Oh my gosh, my brother is going to be so jealous when I tell him I had dinner with Franco Harris and Tony Dorsett. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Honorary guest, Mr. Herbert Paul Douglas Jr. and his lovely wife Minerva, family members, Olympians, Hall of Famers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am truly honored to be in your company tonight on this most special occasion. We have gathered here this evening in the beautiful Senator John Heinz History Center to recognize, to honor, and to pay tribute to a man who has done so much for track and field, so much for the Olympic movement, so much for sport, but more for each and every one of us and countless others. Look around, folks. Young, less young, more young, black, white, male, female. We all took different routes, roads, tracks, highways and byways, paths, turnpikes and interstates to get here this evening. But we're all here for the same reason, to honor, recognize, and pay tribute to a man that has positively impacted our lives, a man that we all love. My friendship with Herb began when he was 75 and I was 35, and I wasn't sure who had more energy, but I knew it was going to be hard to keep up with him. And you know what? He gave me energy. Herb, the athlete, the press agent, the promoter extraordinaire. Has anyone here tonight ever told Herb no? If so, I'd like to see you later on tonight, and I'd like to know how you did it and what happened. But in all seriousness, helping Herb has always been a no-brainer. Why? Because he's gracious, he's a gentleman, and he's the first to let others know how you helped him, singing your praises and giving credit in a time when most rarely acknowledge and don't share much of anything, including recognizing others. He never forgets. When Herb first contacted me to help with the Jesse Owens International Trophy Award dinner, and after learning what he had been doing since 1981 to honor exceptional people that had to live up to the standard of the great Jesse Owens, I was immediately captivated by this man. He was always the one telling me, you know, Cindy, I'm not getting any younger, and this event is wearing me down. I really need to find someone else to run it for me. But guess what? He pressed on, and he always put on a first-class event. I think Herb is a lot like Jesse Owens in many ways. One of the greatest similarities that I think, and one that sets him apart from most, is that he's a big dreamer. A big dreamer. In addition, like Jesse Owens, I believe Herb is more than just a dreamer. He's a believer. A believer in what is possible. You see, it's not enough to just dream it. Anyone can do that. And that's the easy part. But Herb doesn't just dream it. He goes after it like a man on a mission. You see, dreaming it is not enough. It's about fulfilling the dream, living the dream, and seeing the dream become a reality. Furthermore, it is one thing to have a dream of your own, and it's quite another to keep the dream of someone else alive for others. To me, that is what Herb Douglas has done. Herb is the ultimate torchbearer, a wind talker, someone that transcends the generations, and all the while keeping the memory and inspiring others. Reminds me of a quote that I love, and it goes like this: "The flame is not as bright unto itself as it is to those it illuminates, so too the sage." Herb has kept the dream and spirit of Jesse Owens alive. So on the eve of another outdoor season, the Penn Relays, the Olympic Trials, the 30th Olympiad, and the 64-year anniversary of your Olympic moment, we raise our glass. We tip our hat. We send our love. We salute you, Herb, and say happy birthday to you. Here's to you, my friend. Here's to a life that's been filled with pride, spirit, and style. Happy birthday, Herb Douglas.
Next, I'd like to introduce Ira Davis. Ira was a great triple jumper, having competed on 3 Olympic teams: the 56 Melbourne Games, the 60 Rome Olympics, and the 64 Tokyo Olympic Games, where he missed an Olympic medal by a centimeter. He was named on 3 All-American track and field teams and is enshrined in the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame. Ira became the first African American to coach a track and field team at a Division I university when he was appointed head coach at his alma mater, LaSalle University. Ira, with a background in accounting and a degree from LaSalle University, led him into the business world for 35 years in the Delaware County area, which includes Philadelphia, where his construction company was listed at one time as the second largest minority company in the county. His main entrepreneurship was in the area of long distance and local hauling, local storage, and warehousing, and it still exists today in the heart of Philadelphia. He has served on the advisory board of Temple University and as a member of the LaSalle University Board of Trustees. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Ira Davis.
Good evening. I'm not sure where I'm going to begin because I don't want to repeat all the things that have been said thus far. Herb has been my friend and my brother, my big brother, for some 55 years. He has influenced me all of my life, and I love him for that. What I would like to do is to share with you not all the things that Herb has done in the past, but I'd like to share with you some of the things Herb's doing now and will be doing in the future. I'm one of those people that could not say no to Herb. Some 3.5, 4 years ago, Herb came to me and said, there's some possible money out there for minorities. What do you have that we can move forward and put on the board? I said, nothing, I'm retired. So a week or two later, Herb comes to me again. He asked the same question, and you know what happened after that. I said, okay, let me see what I can come up with, and maybe there's something we can do. So I contacted some friends of mine who had some property on the waterfront in Philadelphia, and he says, well, I've sold the property, but I have a project that's been sitting for 4 years, and I'll turn it over to you if you think you can do something with it. That project was a tower similar to the CNN Tower in Toronto or the tower in Seattle, Washington. And it was put together by a friend of mine who I used to be a partner with on the waterfront projects in Philadelphia. So I presented to Herb, and we also talked with one of the sponsors this evening, Randy Latang, who was at that time involved with Goldman Sachs, and that was where the money was supposed to be coming from at that time. And we discussed the possibility of this tower. Now, as things progressed, the money was not available, and the tower itself, although we thought it was a good idea, it didn't have that certain something that we thought was needed to really put this thing over the top. And as you all know, Herb is a persistent son of a gun. And we would sit down from time to time, hours on end, and discuss the possibility of what we're going to do with this tower. I used to go by his house, and I used to stand in his office, and I would just stand there in awe, looking around at the wall. I couldn't see the wall because all the pictures on the wall of entertainers, dignitaries, head of states. And I just said to myself, there's no way in the world this man can leave here, and not impact the world with all this knowledge that he has, all this wisdom, all this goodness that he has. So as we discussed the project of this tower, and the tower is going to have a revolving restaurant, an indoor and outdoor observation deck. It's going to have banquet facilities, but it still needed something else. So as I looked at the walls in his office, and I always said to him, man, you got to do something with this. And then one day, I'm not sure whether, I don't think it was me. I think it was Herb. And he says, Ira, I said, what, Herb? He says, man, we got to go global. And I says, you know, that makes a lot of sense. So the Global Sports Tower is one phase of this project that we're working on. The second part of the project is called the Global Sports Institute. Now, this Global Sports Institute will have 8 galleries. The first 6 galleries will be the 6 continents of the world. And the mission of this project is peace through sports around the world. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but through high technology and all the things that the younger folks know about that I don't know about, but these galleries will be able, you'll be able to, through holograms and all this technology, you'll be able to understand, learn, be taught what's going on all around the world. We have here this evening not only her, but Franco Harris is on our board. He's very instrumental in helping us. We have in the audience here one of the finest architectural firms in the city of Philadelphia. And when I say fine architectural firms, I'm talking about a firm that was instrumental in the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, the Walt Whitman Bridge, the Tacony, there's a bridge in Florida where my wife and I live. I think it's the PGA Bridge in Florida that they were a part of developing. So we're not talking about a second-tier architecture firm. We're talking about the best. And that's H2L2. They're here this evening. Michaelo is in the audience, fine young man who's working with us on developing this project. We also have John Prawley, who's was a member of University of Pittsburgh's, one of their departments, who worked with us on the development of our feasibility studies and our financing. This project has been, oh, by the way, and we do have also Larry Wilson, who's the man who's going to take us to the end of this road as far as developing the project and making this thing happen. And the reason why I say that is because we've been at a stalemate in Philadelphia because of politics and the possibility of not being able to secure the land on the waterfront because of the comprehensive plan that was put in place. But now we feel as though, because of some of these people I've mentioned, Larry and others, we think we'll be able to move this project across the river to Camden, where the people are more amenable, the politics is more amenable to securing the land for us and working with us and getting this project done. I mention that to say that Herb is not finished. This man has more energy than anyone can ever imagine. We talk about it, but you don't really realize the energy that this man has. You know, I try to keep up with him. I remember going to New York to the Millrose games, and I was the young guy in the group. I'm now 75, and I think the last time we went there, I was about 72, I think. And Herb's the first one up the steps, down the steps, and waiting for us to arrive at wherever he was. This man is just unreal. I don't know how his wife puts up with him, but she does. And this project I'm talking about, we're hoping that it will happen in the near future. I mean, there's no guarantee that it will happen. But with Herb's energy and me backing him up, we feel as though we have a good chance of this happening. My inspiration comes from my wife, Beverly, who makes sure that I toe the line and she keeps me straight. Herb has always been my big brother, a brother I never had. I honor him, I respect him, I love him. And this world that we live in is a much better place because of him. And I'm so happy to call him my friend. I love him. I want to say happy birthday, and I'm looking forward to this project coming through, so your name will be shrined in it forever and for life. Happy birthday, Herb.